Hello, third grade scientists. Miss Hutchinson here in my backyard for our last science lab of the year. I know it's hard to believe, but summer is just around the corner. So, for our last activity, I thought we would do something just for fun. It's a favorite summertime activity, and when we do it this way, it's super easy for you to try it out at home. Any guesses? I might have a little hint on my shirt. Yes, we're gonna do a tie-dye type activity, but this one uses just Sharpies and rubbing alcohol, and it's super easy to try at home. So, the first thing we need to do is check out our materials for you to try Sharpie tie-dye right at home. Materials: a plastic cup, plain white cotton fabric like a t-shirt or towel, multiple colorful Sharpie markers, isopropyl alcohol, also known as rubbing alcohol, rubber bands, and a dropper, a squeeze bottle, or a pipette. Now that you've seen the materials list, I thought I'd show you what I'm going to be working with. I've got an old dish towel I'm going to try out, and an old shirt I thought I could do some tie-dye on. I've got a big jar of rubbing alcohol. You won't need this much, but I've got my jar here next to me. I've got lots of colorful Sharpies, so I can do all sorts of different patterns. I've got a little dropper for putting my rubbing alcohol on there, a plastic cup that will act as like my space I work on, and a rubber band to hold the material in place. So I've gathered all my materials. Last step is to check the procedure to make sure we know what we're doing as we get started. So let's take a look at the steps to take to try Sharpie tie-dye right at home. Procedure 1. Place the fabric over the plastic cup and use a rubber band to hold it in place. 2. Using your Sharpies, make dots or circles of color that fill about a quarter-size space on the fabric stretched over the opening of the cup. 3. Slowly squeeze or drip 15 to 20 drops of rubbing alcohol on the center of the colorful area. 4. Try not to flood the area. Allow the ink to spread out from the center of your design. 5. Add as much or as little rubbing alcohol as you like, but not so much that the pattern spreads out past the edge of the cup. 6. Let the design dry for 3 to 5 minutes before moving to another space on the fabric. 7. When you are all done, heat set the colors into the fabric using a laundry dryer for about 15 minutes. We've reviewed our procedure, so we're ready to get started. You can work along with me or watch and then try it out later when you have more time. So, I did some practice with this ahead of time, so you might see some patterns already done, but let's do a new one together. Let me angle my camera and you can see what I'm working with. I'm going to start with my t-shirt, move all these things that I'm going to need off to the side. You want to take an area that you want to work with, stretch it over your cup, that gives you your workspace, and then hold it in place with the rubber band. Keep it kind of tight, so there you go. So my cup's there holding my fabric in place. Now, what I learned with my practice is that making dots really is the best way to have this tie-dye kind of work. So I'm going to just, I don't know, come up with a pattern. I think maybe I'll start with some purple here in the middle. Make some dots. Maybe fill in with some orange. I like yellow. I think you guys know it's like my favorite color. So I'm going to add some yellow in there. Maybe some blue. Outside my yellow, I like the idea of that. A little bit of red. I'm going to add some smaller green dots in between here, because why not? Now, I like dots. You can do lines. I found the lines don't spread quite as nicely. Dots seem to work a bit better. What haven't I used yet? A little bit of pink. Maybe just a little bit of, let's try a line or two. See if that does anything for me. So, I have my pattern there, mostly dots. I tried a little bit of lines with my pink, and I have my pattern ready to go. So the next step is to slowly drop some of your rubbing alcohol into the middle and watch the colors spread. So if you've got a dropper bottle, you can do it that way, like this. With my little pipette, I'm able to scoop some up and then slowly control it. I would say do 15-20 right away, right in the middle, and see what happens. You ready? I'm going to hold it up so you can see it better. All right, so that's about 20 drops. And I'm just gonna let it do its thing. It can be very tempting to keep going and just keep adding more rubbing alcohol, but you wanna give it a few minutes because the colors will spread. You can already see that these colors are spreading. Now I've learned that some of my markers spread better than others. You might have to try out a few spots to see which colors really spread out and which ones kind of stay still. My blue and greens tend to kind of stay still. My purple, my yellow, and my orange love to spread out. I'm going to do a little bit more, see if I can get a little bit more color to move. There we go. See the purple spreading, the orange and the red really spreading, my yellow spreading out a lot. And the toughest part is just waiting. The instructions say to give it about 3 to 5 minutes, I think, to really let that alcohol spread the colors out. So I'm gonna let it sit here for a couple more minutes. We can check back and see how we're doing. Maybe I'll show you some of my other patterns, but pretty much that's it. So I'm gonna let it sit for a couple more minutes and then we'll check right back. All right, so it's been a couple minutes and you can see that our tie-dye pattern spread out even more. So this one I would say is done and it's dry enough that I can take it off the cup. So I'll remove the rubber band, put it off to the side, remove the cup, and you can see now my pattern stays. I wanted to show you some of the other patterns I made and even on my towel because it looks a little bit different. So there we go. This is the one I just did, kind of off to the side a little bit. Then I was experimenting yesterday with lines and dots, and like I said, I found dots seem to work the best. And I tried a dish towel because I thought maybe the material would make a difference, but it all kind of worked the same. So I have my dish towel as well with some patterns there. You can make as many as you want or as few as you want. It's just a fun way to do some tie-dye that's not quite as messy as the traditional way. The last step, if you really want your colors to set, is to throw whatever you've created into the dryer for about 15 minutes. That way the heat makes the colors stay and they won't fade out as you wash them. Boys and girls, that's all I've got for you for Science Lab today. Just a fun activity to try as we roll into summer. Since it's our last lab of the year, I hope you all have a wonderful, safe, and fun summer. Good luck next year in 4th grade, and until I see you again, stay curious, scientists.